Radio Free Skaro!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Radio Free Skaro, episode number 904. I am Stephen in Edmonton.
Or in Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton. Why was that a question?
I don't know.
Good point.
I don't know. Are we from New Zealand, where everything people say is a question? Is it? Oh, we're making the Lord of the Rings.
Australia as well, but
I think it's more New Zealand, based on watching the extras for Lord of the Rings way back when. Everything Peter Jackson always said was, it's a question. We're making Lord of the Rings, that sort of thing. Just
you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I'm not at all.
Australians do it as well.
I know, but I like to focus on New Zealand because New Zealand. Sorry, Australia and New Zealand's the cooler of the two.
New Zealand is the cooler of the two because it's the less talked about probably. But in watching Taskmaster New Zealand,
right?
Great variation of the show, by the way. I have no idea who the people are, but by the end of the series, you're rooting for whoever. But still, I've gotten that fresh infusion of the Kiwi accent, and yeah, it's fun.
I think I like that. Yeah, I know I like that one better. Mind you, it's I don't know, Australian TV. This is just dumping on the Southern Hemisphere part of the podcast.
For no particularly good reason.
No, I don't know. We would sometimes go, "Oh, what's this show? It looks British, but it's sunny." Oh, it's Australian. So it's slightly cheaper, and it's like okay, it's a cop show, and it's set in Australia. So there are no Doctor Who actors in this one. So no, thank you. Scroll on. I'll be searching for more episodes of Bergerac. Thank you very much.
There's one series, and I'm probably going to get messages about how good I'm sure it is, but there's a recent show called Last King of the Cross, starring what's his name? Tim Roth.
Tim Roth,
amongst others, but Tim Roth was the draw for me. Not that he's Australian or anything, but
no,
sounded like a good series. I almost watched it.
Well, kind of
the best Australian series ever is called Return to Eden. It's like an 80s soap opera, like a nighttime Dynasty type soap opera. But you know how Dynasty had that one episode where everybody gets killed, or you think they do for the end? Every episode is that. It is absolute bat bleep lunacy. It's great.
Every episode is Blake.
Essentially.
When I was a kid, there was CBC aired a Australian kids sci-fi show called The Girl from Tomorrow on Sunday.
I remember that. Yeah,
I loved it. I just loved that. I think I found all the episodes. They might be on some streaming service now, actually, too. But yeah, I'm 19 now.
They might be on CBC Jam.
I don't know about that. I don't know. And maybe it was cheaper to get that than it was. Probably we need some like Sunday afternoon. I'll just get this cheap thing from Australia, which I adore.
To give it its due, Warren, I think Neighbours probably takes the crown as the.
Oh, probably, but I've never watched it.
I've never. No, I don't know. Is that where Kylie Minogue got her start? Tying
yes, I believe it is.
To Doctor
Donovan, and
yeah, it was. Yeah, and her co-star in that was in. Jason Donovan was in The Ultimate Adventure, about which more later. Yeah, there we go. There we go.
That's a segue.
What a segue into the Doctor Who news of the week. I love it.
Thank you for finding a way to get off the Antipodean tip.
I did my best. I did my best. I love that for 2 weeks in a row now, I think. Feels like the BBC has dropped news on like Monday mornings, and thus by the time we talk about it here on the Sunday, it's like, oh, that's really old news. But I feel like earlier in the week is when the big news that Murray Gold, the popular musician that scored Doctor Who from 2005 all the way up into the end of the Stephen Moffat era in 2017, is returning to Doctor Who to do. This isn't a recent thing. He first agreed to come back in May of 2022, a year ago.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And he's back. He's back, everyone. Murray Gold's back. He's scoring the Tennant specials right now. He hasn't made a single note of music for the second one, but he was recording stuff for the first and third one, and he'll be carrying on doing Ncuti Gatwa's first season as well. So, Murray Gold back. Your thoughts, please.
The the article on DoctorWho.tv
Mm-hmm.
was very, as we talked about earlier in the week, it was very unclear as to how much he was doing.
Yeah.
Like it gave the impression it could just be the 3 Tennant specials, and then as you say, Doctor Who magazine had has an interview with him, which came out this past Thursday.
Yeah.
And it's confirmed in there that he's continuing on with Gatwa.
Yeah, that's where it says also that this has been in the works for a year because he's been there since May.
Here's my thoughts on this. I am both excited and trepidatious that they're getting the band back together. Murray Gold has put out some great music, and so did Second Akinola. I like both of them. I was kind of hoping for somebody new. He'll come up with new stuff. He's done it before. But there's just this overall thing of a lot of the same people are coming back for Doctor Who, and I'm like, are you going to do something new with it? I mean, obviously you are with Ncuti Gatwa, but is this just going to be RTD again? Is he going to do something new? I'm hoping he does, but I'm a little trepidatious, as all Doctor Who fans are, as usual, because we worry about everything for no reason. But the fact that this is being more of the same-ish kind of worries me a little bit.
I forget where I read it. I'm assuming it was an excerpt from Doctor Who magazine, but Gold has said that he is very much wanting to do new.
And it's not even him specifically. It's just there's a lot of people who used to work on RTD's era back working in RTD's era, which is probably good. But at the same time, I'm like, are we just going to go back to play the hits? Is that what's going to happen here? Or are we going to do something interesting and different?
Obviously, they've had a gap since 2010.
Yeah.
Or 2009 when production wrapped, 2008, whenever production wrapped. Obviously, they've had a gap since then, and a quite sizable gap. But nevertheless, with Jane Tranter and Julie Gardner and Phil Collinson and Murray Gold and RTD and like them having worked together for as long as they did, as closely as they did back in the aughts, they're doubtless going to have certain bits of like expediency, efficiency, shorthand.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Stuff
that's true.
That's really going to help them do their best. But I was no disrespect to Gold, because I mean, yes, he like I Am the Doctor is still like the best thing ever that has come out of Doctor Who music, full stop, in my opinion. And that maybe some of there's like stuff in
Heaven Sent, that whole soundtrack is amazing. Like,
late Tennant stuff is really good as well. But I would have also liked to see new blood on that front. I think if they weren't, I don't know if we're ever going to know if Akinola had a pact with Whittaker and Chibnall or whatever. But if Akinola, if he had continued, I think I would have preferred that. But in the absence of that, with him leaving, I think somebody different. I'm not necessarily going to see somebody new, like, why am I blanking on his name? Blair Mowat.
Blair Mowat,
who did the music for Class. I mean, obviously he didn't work with RTD, but he's still in that fold. Or more personal one, because I'm friends with him, Sam Watts, who did the music for Sarah Jane Adventures. Might have been a nice choice, who did work with RTD back in then. So I mean, there's other choices that could have been made that weren't Murray Gold,
right?
But Murray, by the same token, Murray Gold is going to get the attention of,
and he's a proven
fans.
Excellent choice. I think the other thing is this is an old guy problem, because I'm sitting here going, are they just going to do the same thing they did in 2005? Well, there's plenty of people who weren't watching the show because they weren't around in 2005. So for them, this is all new. So I mean, I'm complaining because I'm old enough to remember way back when.
Also bear in mind, Gold did 3-4 iterations or revisions of the theme tune. Like, how difficult is that going to be? And he's probably doing something else different.
I would assume he is. Yeah,
for the new stuff. So
this is me being a typical Doctor Who nervous Nelly about everything. Frankly, is what it is when you boil it right down.
I mean, Murray Gold's been on this show twice, by the way, in the past, dating back to his first appearance on episode 223, if you can believe it, 2010. Was our first chat with him, and then he appeared again on episode 471. I was frantically Googling it.
Was that when he was at Galley?
No, neither of these were at Galley. I never saw him at Galley. No, we were done. We were done with each other by the time he came to Galley. And I remember, and certainly I might reach out to him again to see if we can complete the hat trick. But I remember some things just talking to the guy jumped out at me about how he. I can't remember which interview this was. It's been a while ago, but he actually didn't save the master tapes for a lot of his stuff. He just sort of like, I'll just put it somewhere. I wasn't going to save them. I was just going to delete them once he was done with them. And somebody says, hey, save those. It's probably good that you save those and stuff because that's the type of personality that he is. He kind of like, you know what? Okay, that's done. It's gone.
Move on.
Move on.
Yeah.
And isn't that not his property though? Isn't that the property of the BBC?
I mean, but like not even like keeping the stems or anything like just the actual he's very much one to keep it fresh, and I appreciate that about him, and that's why I'm kind of looking forward to what he does next, because it's exciting to hear a new musical voice, but it's also exciting to hear what will Murray Gold do with, I remember back in the day, I think, new companion, new theme. What's he going to do with this, doctor or this companion? Yeah. And, he's come up with some great ones. Like,
you're a big fan of Clara's theme, I know.
I love Clara's theme. I love Martha's theme was one of my favorites.
Martha's theme's great, yeah. And I'm not criticizing him at all.
No.
Like, I think he's a great musician. I just, holistically speaking, the new RTD era looks a lot like the old RTD era, given what little we've seen.
I suppose, but let's frame it this way a little bit too, Warren. Like whenever Steven Spielberg makes another film, do you go, "Oh,
True.
John Williams again"?
Fair enough.
It's and Williams keeps coming up with great stuff that are are keeping with his own style, but still different.
Not criticizing Murray Gold
Nope.
at all here, at all. I'm just being a weirdo nerd who's like, I don't know, I'm making the same thing over again.
As far as not letting things go is concerned, it's also been said, I'm not going to say anything is like in the works or confirmed or anything, but Gold has said he's going to make sure his Series 10 soundtrack gets out there.
Yeah, that was a little inset in the interview in Doctor Who magazine. It will happen by hook or by crook. A Series 10 album release will actually happen at this point. I imagine it was never recorded in the first place, so they have to probably actually properly record it, which would be interesting given that it was written like 5-6 years ago. But and I suspect, I mean, he even mentions in the interview with Benjamin Cook that, there's a little bit of Donna's theme when we first see her. That's understandable. And, there'll probably be some reoccurring themes from the 10th Doctor in there probably too.
I would think so.
There's going to have to be.
Right? But, I mean, let's flash back to the surprisingly successful Star Trek Picard Season 3, which we all quite liked. And let's face it, a large chunk of that is because we heard musical cues from stuff. The theme essentially was like, it was music from First Contact and The Next Generation. Thinking, oh my God, this is really good music. Oh, right, it's music we heard before from times when it was good.
You say these words, and all I can think is, meh. Didn't register.
Well, yeah,
As
I know.
Most music for me doesn't.
I know, which is why we're having this massive conversation.
And the thing is, when I watch RTD2, even if it is exactly the same as RTD1, I'll still be like, oh, I like that thing. Like, I'm no better than anybody else in that regard.
Yeah, but I'm very excited to see what he does for Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor. Like, what kind of, we've seen the outfits and we've seen Ncuti Gatwa. We haven't seen him perform as Doctor Who yet, but Murray Gold obviously has, so he's these are things that are going through his head and what he's going to do when he comes up with music for him and his Doctor. I'm looking forward to see it. It's fascinating. I can't wait.
And 60th anniversary kind of has to be a nostalgia tour, so that's fine. But going forward, Ncuti Gatwa, that's where I want stuff to be weird and different and crazy and bold and innovative, which RTD has done before in other things. So I'm hoping he does with that.
I mean, he's back. Gold is back with the National Orchestra of Wales, who he used to do the music for all the way from season 2 all the way till the end. So they're back and everything. So I think it'll sound orchestral again, which is what Sega Nakanola did early on, but then eventually the orchestra came creeping back in anyway. So,
speaking of the orchestra, I find it interesting. I haven't read the piece in Doctor Who magazine, but you mentioned that they've done episodes 1 and 3 for the Tennant specials, but not 2. I remember back in the day that when they would record with the orchestra, Gold had 3 days to do an entire series worth of music.
Because let me tell you,
I don't know if they have just more flexibility now or what the case is.
No, he hasn't. He hasn't even written a note of music for the second. Yeah, it's like
right. You did say that, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Let me tell you, professional orchestral musicians are incredibly efficient. All you have to do is print out music and put it in front of them, and they will play it. They will look at it. They'll be okay, as long as they can read it, they'll know exactly what to do, and the conductor will do work on it. And this is why they can record a whole album in 2 days, because they play it through once. And as long as it's like written and composed and everything there, it's done in one take. It's amazing.
I'll say this just to stoke Warren's fires, but can't they just get ChatGPT to do this?
How dare you? Fire's stoked.
Yeah. But as you say, I mean, a lot of people hold a lot of, emotional memories from Murray Gold's music. And that's not to say that it didn't happen with Sega Nakanola. There's perhaps there's a bigger conversation into what Sega Nakanola's music needed to do during the episodes of his era, as opposed to the Gold RTD era. Which spoiler alert, I hint at it a great deal within the first 11 episodes of the Memory Cheats, but I haven't gotten there yet as of time of recording, so I'm saving my rant for one of those. But I feel like there's more space for a type of Murray Gold musical motif in an RTD episode than perhaps in a Chris Chibnall era episode.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
There's a lot of underscoring stuff, whereas I think RTD's Doctor was perhaps a little more visual, and you could sort of have room for these big moments and stuff like that.
Well, Chibnall episodes were also longer, so I don't know how that would.
They were longer,
but your theory, but
they also talked more. There's a lot more talking and not showing in Chibnall Who, whereas I think there's more. Somebody shared a clip that from Utopia, the reveal of Derek Jacobi's master, and it's like 2 minutes worth, and it's like
Warren's getting all excited.
Yeah, I know. There's barely any dialogue in it. It's just like, this will give your power to me. But like once the Jacoby starts thinking about opening the watch, it's all like just visuals and music and everything like that.
And great music. Music's fantastic.
Right? That is the type of music that you want a Murray Gold in.
I'm a fan of Sega Nakanola's work. The only soundtracks I've bought are his series 11, 12, 13. But when I think of music in Doctor Who, which I mean, I'm on the record, like the music doesn't often register with me at the best of times. But when I think of powerful, strong, whatever pieces from Doctor Who that do stick out in my mind after the fact, none of it is Sega Nakanola. It's all Murray Gold.
Yeah.
The Doctor's theme sticks for me.
For which one?
For Nakanola?
For Sega Nakanola.
Yeah.
Like when she's regenerating at the end, that kind of stuff. I think it's really effective. Like I like a lot of his stuff.
Oh,
It's not one or the other. They're both good. I mean,
no, but a lot of Sega Nakanola stuff was like just basically mood stuff underneath a lot of dialogue is what I'm getting at here.
And that's kind of what I like about it, because I mean it's also like Warren. Warren, I know you do a lot of like writing to film soundtracks and things like that.
Yeah.
And that's I find I don't quite do that same thing, but if I'm looking for just something to put on or whatever, like something that's not overly intrusive, that's Nakanola stuff is my go-to far more than Murray Gold ever was or probably will be.
Well, it's more like you said, it's more backgroundy, which is not a slight on it. It's good.
It's
that's what it's for.
That's what it's meant. And then, of course, no shortage of people have brought up the old chestnut, rightly so, I think, of the mix back when Gold was doing the music, and how much the music might drown out dialogue or whatever,
right?
And so they're raising that same concern. Like, is that something that we're gonna have to watch out for again? Or
here's the thing.
Your thoughts on that?
I have some thought. I remember Mark Ayres would often complain about the mix and everything. Being an audio aficionado that he is. What I thought interesting. This is something I haven't thought about this until recently. Is that it's also down to how the audio presentation was on BBC iPlayer and BBC. A lot of these are just basically it's being funneled into stereo only. which is
and
bad.
compressed, yeah,
compressed, and so like everything's just sort of loud, and it's coming out of two speakers. Where is hopefully in this new Disney Plus era, you'll get proper 5.1 mix, and there will be audio, it coming out of the right speakers with dialogue coming out of the right speakers and everything, and so it won't be drowned out. Because if you're watching 5.1, dialogue is in center channel, music will be in left and right, with some sort of reverb and stuff in the surround channels and stuff like that, and so you can actually get a nice mix, and that often wasn't the case when you were watching on an iPlayer.
No, and it's. So last week we talked about how there was an upcoming BFI screening of Spirit from Space, and that they're broadcasting it in black, or they're showing it in black and white, because that's what most people saw it as in 1970. Same thing is happening here. Most people are still going to get that stereo down mix, whether it's iPlayer, broadcast TV, or whatever, just because most people don't have the equipment to have that 5.1.
Yeah, like I have a sound bar. That's what I've got, and I don't care about having 5.1. It also comes down to maybe your Apple TV or your Roku or whatever, or your Chrome Fire, whatever thing you've got spitting out this thing off the internet from. Maybe it doesn't handle that stuff. Plenty of people have Roku built into their TV. Well, that is not optimized for a cinephile. That's for people to get whatever channel they want, right? So that's got nothing to do with the BBC. That's out of their hands at that point. That's some manufacturer in
iPlayer. I think iPlayer was. I think it was an issue with iPlayer. I think early on.
Oh, sure it is. Yeah, I'm just saying there's a million different reasons why something could be that way.
And they only ever did it the one time for Knock Knock, but then they still go to the extra lengths of like binaural soundtrack releases or whatever. But and then even beyond that, people who might have the equipment and stuff, like how many people out there have an Apple TV box or whatever, something that doesn't plug directly into the TV, and are using like a super old HDMI cable or something that maybe doesn't carry all the channels or of audio, or there's so many things that need to be in place for that to happen, to ever be like big, or majority, whatever. And I don't see that for some time yet.
Here's a far bigger problem. We need to convince the BBC to somehow send a signal over the airwaves and the internet that turns motion smoothing off, because that's a far greater crime.
Yes, unless you're vid firing old 1960s episodes, of course.
Of course, yes, obviously.
That's when it helps the most. But so yeah, Murray Gold. I sort of gathered from the comments on Facebook and Twitter that there's a mixed reaction, but I think we need to sort of wait until see what the music entails until we can judge it. But
I'm trying to keep as wait and see an attitude as I can for the new stuff, without trying to prejudge too much. But the reaction that we have seen via those comments and remarks, I think is appropriate, because as enjoyable as a lot of people find Gold's music to be, there are a lot of reasons to be concerned, whether it's the sound mix, whether it's a rehash, or whether whatever. There's definitely valid reasons for concern, and I don't think any of those voices should be silenced.
No, but we won't have long to wait as we get into May.
It feels like we do.
7 months.
Yeah, maybe. It's not usual that there's like specially scored stuff for a trailer, but it has been interesting that anytime I hear the Doctor Who theme in a new promotion thing or whatever, it's been the Murray Gold theme. We should have probably gotten onto that pretty early on. I think Murray Gold music is already in there for talking about Doctor Who and stuff. So. Not surprising, I guess. But
anytime I see a promo and I hear the regeneration sounds over top of the logo, I'm like, is the logo regenerating? What is happening here?
How long is it? It's already regenerated. We have the new logo, damn it. Which
pre-Hartnell Doctor is the logo?
Yeah.
The timeless logo child.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, the whole interview is in Doctor Who magazine, 590 with Benjamin Cook. All there for you to read. I think the Doctor, they might have posted a short excerpt or something like that on DoctorWho.tv, and sometimes they do that, but you can read the whole thing. The whole thing is in there. So, and sometime later this year, maybe I'll see if the email address I have for Murray Gold still works and drop him a line.
The blurb on DoctorWho.tv doesn't even mention there's an article in our interview in DWM.
Maybe it was that close to the knuckle, perhaps. That.
Well, I mean, it's like a lot of other things when it comes to promotion for any show. Like, what came first? Like,
well,
did this article on Doctor Who TV come out because DWM was ready to run the interview, or I mean, DWM being the periodic thing,
right?
Whatever. Being a every 4-week thing. Obviously, there's at least a modicum of flexibility when it comes to moving articles from one issue to another or whatever. But I'm curious what what triggered the announcement now. If he's been at it for 11 months.
My guess,
we're still 7 months away.
My guess is A, they're recording it, and B, I just looking at it because when you go to the back page, they have like sort of the fold over thing, and there is certainly a Murray Gold element on like inside the magazine, like the thing, like the little bag that it comes in. That's where it showed it. If you listen, you put it this way, it doesn't leak. It doesn't. Damn, we got this our DWM 2 days early, and therefore, there's the Murray Gold news. This way you're actually more in control of the message by not putting it on the cover, but putting it on the insert that goes around the cover at that point. So that's my guess is in order to combat leaks, this is how they did it. I mean,
that's an evergreen statement, but yeah.
And
that's fair.
Plus, it's easier, they were recording the music that day, whatever day that was, Monday. And so, hey, we have actual footage of Murray Gold being, back with RTD and recording music and stuff. And so we can get this 28-second video out of him being back on Doctor Who, as opposed to, Murray Gold's back. We can't show you him or anything else, but here's this file photo from 2009. No, here's Murray Gold.
Is he being held hostage? What's going on?
Here's a quick clip of him with some crazy-ass glasses.
Yeah, he's got, because he's a musician, but they have crazy glasses. That's usually what happens, but... So yeah, Murray Gold back in Doctor Who, as we will hear later on, and perhaps sometime in the near future, a Series 10 soundtrack to complete the collection. How exciting! That slight rumbling of panic you hear on the horizon is the Gallifrey One LAX Marriott hotel block, due to open on Friday, May 12th at noon Pacific time. This is when the hotel block at the LAX Marriott opens up. It opens at noon Pacific time. It will close at 12:02 Pacific time. And sends everyone into a massive panic. So best of luck to everyone who wants a hotel at the LAX Marriott. Sometimes
may the odds ever be in your favor, as we like to say.
Yeah, it's
as you like to say. I couldn't care less about the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Hey, but there's the new Hunger Games movie coming out.
I saw a picture of it, and I swear it looked like Ron Burgundy of the early years.
Oh, is that what that was?
Were you looking at a picture of Jason Schwartzman? Or what?
I don't care. I watched one half of the first one, said this is kind of stupid, and never watched anything else about the Hunger Games. I couldn't care less about it.
Yeah, it wasn't for me.
People love it, great, good for them. I don't. Their author apparently isn't a complete garbage, or maybe they are. Unlike the other beloved millennial franchise that we will not name.
It's
so
okay,
there's that.
It's okay, Warren. This is a prequel, so everything's going to go perfect for it. I'm sure.
Prequels.
Hey, if there are battle droids, sign me up. Otherwise,
everyone's making prequels. $170 per night is the base rate for this. And then with fees, it's probably $280. I don't know. It's a lot of fees. But yeah, May 12th. Set your calendar alerts. And Gallifrey, I think the link will go live on the event page, not the main wall.
On Facebook.
On Facebook there. So
on Facebook.
Yep, the old Facebook. So that is the only place that the hotel link will go live. So
initially,
as to avoid confusion, initially during this bit. So good luck, everyone. Gallifrey One, not even a single guest announced yet, and tickets are on sale, and the hotel will go on sale May 12th. So. Exciting time. I love Gallifrey One. I know it seems that this is like the furthest possible point.
This has never come up.
No, I know it's amazing, but we're in May. It's just like that's May. It's a long time away, but then you start to look forward to it.
It'll spring up on us sooner than you can say
9.5 months or something.
Yeah. Speaking of hotels, I have a hotel at San Diego Comic-Con. I don't have a flight yet, a hotel I can cancel because I'm still, in the mode. Because in Doctor Who magazine, I should say, Russell T Davies says, "Oh, this is exciting times and stuff because we're getting into the spring, starting to send out things and start to talk about stuff." And they says, and then he actually said that San Diego Comic-Con, and then in brackets it says maybe, hopefully, not a promise or something like that, which leads me to believe A, they want to go, otherwise he wouldn't drop hints like that, but B, it's also like very much a Disney Plus thing because BBC America used to be the ones to bring them over when they were in charge of Doctor Who for San Diego Comic-Con, and so it's up to Disney to say, should we do yes, we should do a Doctor Who thing. So I think that plans are probably in the works, but it's not up to the BBC, let's face it, to do it.
I can't see them not doing it, but if you're there and there's no Doctor Who, I'm sorry because you're going to hate every second of it if that's not the case. You'll love it if Doctor Who's there.
This is why. Listen, I didn't pay for a press pass. I haven't paid for a hotel yet, and I have not paid for a flight. So in the event,
just in case,
they go, no, we're not doing a San Diego Comic-Con. All right, that's it for me. But I still think it's a safe bet.
I think it will too. Yeah,
very safe.
It's a very safe bet.
Good place to launch him.
He's an impresario. I don't think he can resist the siren call of Comic-Con, honestly.
Right? Oh, it's a ready-made audience, especially when you're launching on Disney Plus, which is massive. Yeah. And there's no D23 celebration until next year. So and after which Doctor Who will have launched. So this is the best possible option you can get.
This is not BBC America putting together a GoFundMe to get them down there, which they've never done, by the way. But this is Disney. They could maybe hire one less lawyer to sue Ron DeSantis and then just send them down with the proceeds of that.
Yeah. And it opens the same weekend as Barbie, which the Barbie movie, which features Ncuti Gatwa. So it all ties in. All ties in there. So, because
I'm sure Gatwa will have a break in recording if they're still recording to do press for that.
Oh, yeah, that's part. I mean, he had a break in recording to go to Portugal, according to his Instagram. Then he's right back to the
vacation time.
Yeah, I mean,
doing press for a movie is not a vacation, dude.
No, I mean they just
absolutely not.
It's not like
it is grueling.
Oh,
work.
Absolutely. I mean,
it's probably worse than the actual job.
Yeah. I did just Google the Barbie movie to see when the release date was. It is July 21st, 23. But also, I'm heartwarmed by the duration of 1 hour 40 minutes. Oh God, well
Oppenheimer
done.
Was going to go open against it, and then they said, "No, Barbie's going to kick our butts."
Well, I know.
Oppenheimer's like 3 hours long and black and white or something. So
hour and 40 minutes. God bless you, Barbie. That is great, man. Make 100-minute movies again, everyone. It's just so much better.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway. Where are we at here? Blue Peter. Good old Blue Peter. Blue Peter has announced a set visit contest, folks, where if you are a young super fan from the UK between the ages of 5 and 15, you get drawn because you can, if you draw some fan art that is deemed acceptable by the Blue Peter board of
fan art judging,
you could win a set tour of the Doctor Who set. The Blue Peter folks are there, but also David Tennant came out with a little video today too that I'm sure Chris will love because he says Allons at the end in a very enthusiastic way, which will probably bring you flashbacks to 2007. And he urges all you youngins out there to get drawn. The contest closes May 15th for your child to be able to get a set tour.
I haven't yet seen this video, but in reading the text on DoctorWho.tv, apparently Tennant says that the Doctor is well over 900 years old. He's more than 2,000 now. So
fire this man immediately for this egregious error.
It's not a lie. He is over 900.
2,000 is still more than 900.
Exactly.
But it's time to get with the times, Mr. Tennant.
Oh. My key takeaway is that his bouffant is bigger than Capaldi's. It's madness. It's utterly insane how high that bouffant is.
It's high but not wide. It's one of those narrow infill buildings and not so much a sprawling complex of hair.
It's a laneway house of a haircut.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, if nothing else, it's been almost 15 years since he played the Doctor. He should just be happy to have hair.
Right? Wow. Still got a nice head of hair.
Not where I saw this going, but okay.
Yeah, it's David Tennant. Nice head of hair. Anyway, we're not eligible. We can't get. We're neither 5 or 15, or in the UK. So
no.
But
This is so unfair.
I am feeling a little bit persecuted against Warren. I'm not going to lie to you. Where is the drawing how come 48-year-old Canadians can't do bad drawings to get tours to the Doctor Who set?
Which I don't often do.
Right.
Where is the justice?
Where is the justice in all this? There isn't any justice. Literally just came across my timeline, and you don't want to know what he said. I don't even know what he's talking about, but he's angry and he's swearing.
What a shock!
Coming up
about Doctor Who or something else?
Probably Doctor Who. Coming up it's coming out November 16th, 2023, a week before the anniversary. It's a book called Adventures Across Space and Time, a Doctor Who reader, a series of essays and stuff. I mentioned it because it is edited by friends of ours, Paul Booth, Matt Hills, Tansy Raider Roberts, and Joy Piedmont are all listed as editors on this thing.
That's a good crew.
Yeah, you can pre-order it now. You can pre-order it. Links in the show notes to Amazon.ca, I think, or is it UK? I can't tell. But you can pre-order it. I haven't read any bit, but it's by good people because we know them. So it's and I've known of people who have been writing things for this. I think they even got like Stephen Moffat and stuff in there too. So some pretty heavy hitters in there too. So pre-order link in the show notes, radiofreescar.com. You can get that. I alluded to Doctor Who: The Ultimate Adventure somehow earlier on in this podcast. Here's the payoff, folks. Josh Snares on their YouTube channel.
Donovan.
Jason, yeah, that was the link. That's right. I mentioned Jason Donovan, not The Ultimate Adventure, but The Ultimate Adventure. So The Ultimate Adventure was a stage play in the spring and summer of 1989 that Terrence Dix wrote, and they put on, first starring John Pertwee, and then a role taken over by Colin Baker with a brief interlude with David Banks as an unseen doctor. There have been I think 2 fan VHS recordings essentially, and some bootlegged audio floating around over the past few years. Well, Josh Snares has combined them into a restored version that isn't perfect but is watchable of The Ultimate Adventure, of Colin Baker's performance in there. And you can watch it on Josh Snare's YouTube channel. It's I'm looking at one of the comments about how someone comments and says, I worked on this. I was responsible for the Zog outfit as well as some of the other masks. To quote Red Letter Media, how embarrassing. So that's hilarious that somebody who worked on it is now looking back at this.
I just love that Doctor Who fans, and presumably fans in other fandoms too, but Doctor Who fans especially, will just go the extra mile for the most obscure thing, just work themselves to the bone to make it look slightly better, just for the benefit of others. It's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. I know. I mean, I'm hoping to see if and when there's a big giant Wilderness Years Blu-ray set sometime in the future. This will be covered. Maybe
I wonder if the rights would be a nightmare for that.
The rights for everything on that set will probably be a nightmare. Maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know. Yeah. It's just a stage play. I mean, come on, you know. So
this restored video, whatever, came out as we record yesterday. Mm-hmm. And as I was saying before we hit record, Josh Snares, they released a video in late 2020,
October, I think.
Late 2020, about doing the work for the restoration. And I'm sure, I mean, obviously this is not going to be like their top priority or anything like that, but the fact they've been working on this for at least probably 3 years, I mean, that's all, you know, that's some dedication as well.
Crazy.
I think they win the pandemic. If somebody has done anything better than that during the pandemic, I'd like to see it. I actually would, because it'd be kind of cool.
I think the tweet-alongs that prompted RTD's return to Doctor Who, David Tennant's return to Doctor Who. I think that probably
Emily Cook probably has a large,
The development of vaccines to combat said pandemic probably up there.
Well, from a Doctor Who angle, anyway. I think this might be up there on the list, but I don't think it wins the Doctor Who pandemic.
I may have been exaggerating for comic effect. There's just an outside chance.
Close second. So Emily Cook's watch-alongs basically triggering Russell T Davies to return to Doctor Who and get a Disney Plus thing. Close second. Josh Snare's work on The Ultimate Adventure.
And things like closure on Liz Sladen's death, and
this number 2. Number 2.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Number 2.
All right, so you hate The Ultimate Adventure is what you're saying, Chris. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm an ultimate adventure hater, apparently.
Yep.
Yeah. I've never seen it apart from skimming through brief clips today.
Same here.
Same for me with other brief clips on YouTube in the past. But as I was saying before we hit record, and I probably got it from somewhere in the 10-0 days. But once upon a time, I had the poster, the A4 poster on my wall as a teenager for the Ultimate Adventure, having no real concept of what it was because there was no YouTube to go and reference or whatever. But one thing I really like about Josh Snares' restoration is because there's more than one camcorder source.
Right.
There's cutting. And it doesn't always work quite perfectly, but there's cutting back and forth as though it were like a multicam recording, which kind of is kind of neat for something that's like just haphazardly recorded in 1989 by random people.
Mm-hmm. With probably
I'm looking at my sorry.
No, I'm just thinking of the clunky camcorder technology that was probably used to record this. Yeah.
I'm just looking at my Doctor Who the Daleks poster, Chris, and it takes enough to explain that to people. So I can't even imagine the depths you had to sink to explain what the hell the Ultimate Adventure was.
I can't say I tended to have that many people in my room at the time.
Well, okay, fair enough. But I'm just saying, this is confusing enough. So.
Yeah. Anyway, links in the show notes, readyforscott.com if you want to have a look at the entire. It's like 90 minutes. The play is there. So, intriguing. I might give that a spin later, but I haven't even watched
performance. I guess if you didn't already say, we should mention that.
I did mention it. Yeah. Okay. His Doctor very much suits a stage play version of Doctor Who.
Yes,
he's good.
He has a presence that really works on the stage.
He does indeed. Some big Finnish stuff before we get to the Timelash and get the hell out of here so you can get on to the rest of your day. The second Once and Future, The Artist at the End of Time, is coming June 2023. It features Peter Davison as Doctor and Georgia Tennant's in there too with Colin Baker. What? Georgia Tennant, of course, is the daughter of Peter Davison, as playing Jenny, when she appeared in the universally beloved Doctor's Daughter back in 2008. So there we go. That's the second version, though, of second edition of Once and Future, the big 60th anniversary, big Finnish crossover spectacular leading up to the November 2023 finale. Actually, and then there's an epilogue in May of 2024, which is so intriguing to me. Why do you wait so long for an epilogue? I'm so intrigued. Also coming from Big Finish is the Seventh Doctor versus the Vashta Narada. What? In Far From Home, a box set comes out in June of 2023 as well, starring Sylvester McCoy, of course. And there is the War Master Solitary Confinement coming June 2023 as well, starring Derek Jacobi and Sean Phillips, co-star from I, Claudius, all the way. Speaking of shows that I never actually finished, and I want to go back and watch again, is I, Claudius. They were both in I, Claudius. So there we go. That's also coming in June from Big Finish. All right. Let's dip back into the Timelash. As you know, we'll probably wrap this up in June or July when Doctor Who history sort of takes a break as well, just so you know. So enjoy this while it lasts, folks.
Or not. Or deride it mightily.
Maybe April 30th is the day we start. What an exciting day in history. It's the birthday of John Flanagan, one half of the writing duo that came up with Meglos. So we're off to a good start.
Nice.
It's also the anniversary of the broadcast in 1966 of episode 1 of The Gunfighters, a holiday for the Doctor.
Yep. In my mind, most notably, the last story to have individual episode titles.
That's right. Oh, what I
love about
day.
The Gunfighters, besides how fun it is, and despite what Celebration says, as I always raise, is the fact that the Doctor, a Time Lord who's however many years old, has a toothache.
Yep.
That's how it starts.
It's great. It's great.
And he goes to the Old West to take care of it, which is a dumb idea.
Yeah, you know what? I thought until I saw the latest Doctor Who magazine poll for the first Doctor, I thought, you know what? I bet you the Gunfighters sort of been rehabilitated. No, not as much. It's still pretty far down there in the list of Hartnell stories.
It's just fun. It's just silly fun.
I love it. I love it. Listen, I became such a fan of it that this is the great thing about this podcast is, you know what? let's do a whole podcast about it. And so when it came out on DVD as part of like the Earth Tales, I think this and the Awakening came out in the same box or something. And we got Toby Haydock and Ed Stradling, who did the documentary on the Gunfighters DVD, and just talk about how great the Gunfighters is. And it was great. It was great. This is what you can do. This is the power of podcasting, folks. If you like something, you can get people who also like it and then talk about it. And that's what we did.
It's to move on from the Gunfighters.
Fine.
And your love in.
Yeah.
1968, Fraser Hines is contracted for 2 stories beginning with the invasion and decides that he will then leave Doctor Who.
Yeah.
So that's the invasion and the Crotons. He didn't leave.
No, he didn't.
not.
No, because Troughton said, listen, I'm going at the end of this year. Why don't you just stick around to the end and we can all go together? And so that's what they did. That is what they did. Mm-hmm. Yeah, originally, the next story after the invasion was going to be, I think, the Laird of the Macrimmin, which is going to be a 3rd story with the Yeti. And Jamie would leave at the end of that. But of course, after having, aggravated the writers of the Yeti, Haseman and Lincoln, with the Dominators prior, that story fell through. So they had to come up with the Crotons. And then by that point, Jamie was staying around. So,
But Crotons, first Robert Holmes.
That's right. If we didn't have Derek Sherwin burning bridges left, right, and center with other writers of Doctor Who, we might have never had got Robert Holmes, and we certainly wouldn't have got Unit. So
there's an alt universe thinker for you.
Yeah, exactly. Doctor Who would have been canceled like after season 7 is that we'd never be talking about it. It would all be missing. Thank you, Derek Sherwin, for all that you did. Speaking of Dominators, they were recording that very day in history, so, which is interesting.
This is one thing I don't think I knew about.
All right.
1980, John Nathan Turner consults with director Tennant Roberts. So if John Nathan Turner is doing this, and obviously this is after 17, after season 17, well, duh.
Yeah.
Anyway, John Nathan Turner consults with director Tennant Roberts about completing the remaining studio sessions for Shada in October, with a view to broadcasting the story as 2 50-minute episodes over Christmas.
Yeah. Yep, that was a thing. That was briefly a thing. But they couldn't make it happen. People move on, everything else. It's tough getting the whole band back together, unless you're making new Doctor Who. It's tough getting everyone back together and looking the same and everything else, even though it was a few months after Shada had finished. But yeah, that was going to be a thing. This is why they held on to the original broadcast material in the hope that they could remount it at some point. It's because of this that we have umpteen versions of Shada, because the original masters still exist.
My favorite thing about this particular item is the picture of Professor what's-his-name with a sphere stuck in his head. Chronotis, thank you. Which to me seems like an apt metaphor for the entire process of making Shada. A sphere bashing away at your head endlessly.
It's amazingly low tech. If you watch the raw footage, which obviously you should, of Shada, there's I wonder how they did that. And it's just stick a ball on his head. There we go. It's done. That's all it was.
In watching the season 22 Blu-ray set recently, when I watched the episodes, I put on the info text, and I was disappointed at there's one tiny brief, tiny little mention of Dennis Carey. I know he wasn't in Timelash for long, but there was one tiny little mention of Dennis Carey, and I was disappointed for him.
Oh,
not to have been, not to have had more of a fuss made over his appearance.
His appearance in Timelash, or indeed his appearance in as Doherty in is it Doherty in Gambit? He's in Gambit. The greatest episode of not the best, but the greatest episode of Blake 7 ever made.
That's not on the season 22 Doctor Who Blu-ray.
It should be.
It should be though.
It should be It should be an Easter egg on every single Doctor Who Blu-ray set. Gambit from Blake 7.
On every BBC set. You want to see Miss Marple Mysteries or something? Gambit's there for some reason.
Somewhere. You search there, you click the second little hat or something in the menu. Oh, look at that. It's Gambit showing
Civilization with Kenneth Clark, now with extra added Gambit.
Yup. Should be a thing.
Let's talk about 2005.
What happened in 2005? Chris, tell us, because that's where I was going.
Yeah, or you can take a debut broadcast of Dalek on BBC One.
And there was debate at the time whether or not we'd actually see the Daleks.
We didn't know about that until after the fact, when we found out that they had such a trouble getting Daleks back in. But yeah, what an episode. Boy, oh boy. Rob Sherman's one and done Doctor Who. Why would you come back after writing that bit of perfection there?
Yeah. And it's not just that. I mean, love him or hate him, the notion of what the heck are they called from Last of the Time Lords? Little spheroid.
Oh, the Toclophane.
Toclophane. I mean, the concept of them was created with one of the during the dark period of producing Dalek when they weren't sure if they're going to have the rights to the Daleks.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, when the title reverted briefly in working form to absence of the Daleks is what Rob Sherman called them.
Or as he likes to call it, Cyberman Head.
Yes, he does. Yes.
Yeah.
Which,
it's actually two separate episodes, Cyberman Head and Dalek.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for all my slagging of Picard or Star Wars or whatever else it does this exact thing, when I saw that Cyberman head, I was like, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Yep. But then when you saw just the scene, like the initial scenes between Eccleston and you get the impression.
so good in this.
Yeah, I mean, you get the impression this is why they cast Eccleston right here. This is it.
He's so intense.
All the rumors and like the talk of like, oh, they're gonna get some light entertainment actor or comedian to do Doctor Who, and it'll all be just a fun romp for nostalgia. It says no, we're gonna get a proper actor in to do Doctor Who, and when he meets the Dalek for the first time, he's gonna be like they they're war victims, and it was an amazing scene, amazingly played, amazingly acted, amazingly written,
and only the second of 3 Doctors to go topless on screen.
Oh,
we got Pertwee and him, and who's the other one
at the time, or Matt Smith, obviously.
Oh, right,
overall.
Yes.
Yeah. If we're looking, I'm thinking, yes, I believe that's the case.
For anyone keeping count of that,
I'm sure there's websites out there, some more reputable than others, that keep track of these
pictures
things.
of David Tennant from doing a stage play when he had a policeman's hat over his
David Tennant?
middle
actually,
part.
David Tennant. At the time, because David Tennant was topless at the end of Journey's End, because he wakes up and he's
that's
naked.
right.
Oh,
Yes,
that's right.
right.
Okay,
Yeah, so that's 4.
So second of 4 then.
This is very important, people.
Very, very important.
Tangents are why we are here.
That's right.
That's true.
Let's move on to May 1st, May Day. No mention of the demons.
You don't want to talk
here,
about Day of the Moon?
Day of the Moon. Oh, wait. Oh, was Day of the Moon aired that day on April 30th?
Yeah. 2011, Day of the Moon.
Controversial.
BBC One.
No. Was it controversial?
Nobody ever talked about it again.
I remember that. I'm trying to remember where we were day and date with BBC America at that time. I feel like that was...
It was day and date.
Was it day and date?
That was day and date, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Series 6 is when we got day and date.
That's right.
And as a matter of fact, Space had it an hour before BBC America.
Oh,
at the time as well.
Controversial.
I
That's
do
the
remember
controversy
that.
right there.
Yeah, it was like 8 p.m. Eastern or something, which means we got it
And
at
there's
6.
also the time of the Karen Gill and Amy Pond intro bits that we would sometimes see.
Oh, right, yeah.
Forgotten about this.
Yeah, that all went on in the... oh, man. Heady days back in those days. I mean, weird days, to be fair. Yeah, that was the first real proper buy-in from BBC America. I mean, they took over the show Planet of the Daleks and aired it and stuff, but then, they shot the opening in the States.
Planet of the Dead. They did not have it in 1973.
Did I say Planet of the Daleks? That's funny of me. Planet of the Dead.
For me, I mean, the Day of the Moon, like the silence and all that is awesome, but still, the whole WTF part of the young girl regenerating and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
that was cool.
Set up the mystery.
Yeah, the whole River Song subplot for the series.
Mm-hmm. And then we thought, I wonder how this will pay off on this next episode. Set on a pirate ship. Wow, this looks great. Curse the black spot.
Yes, May 1st.
May 1st. Let's talk about May 1st. What? Anything jumping out at you on May 1st?
I'm going to jump straight to 2002.
What happened?
Death of John Nathan Turner.
Yeah, that's sad and tragic.
Pull off that Band-Aid.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it's I mean, obviously it's a shame because he died quite young, actually, and of I think liver disease or something from a rough and tumble lifestyle towards the end. I mean, if you read the biography of John Nathan Turner, it's very sad. It's very sad. His post Doctor Who life is not good, and it's a shame because I would have loved for him to have been around for Doctor Who's revival. in 2003. It would have been great to hear what he thought of it and to get his reaction and everything.
Unless he hated it, in which case, no.
Yeah, and like he was barely around for when the DVD range started up again. So we're sort of reliant on archive interviews and stuff for stuff. And I feel like with a little more separation, I think maybe he would have become more reflective. He was very much the showman in those days, and it would have been great to hear from him. So yeah. Sad day.
He maybe wasn't the best producer out there, but he did a lot for Doctor Who.
He did.
I mean, not all of it worked, and he got some.
And he got jerked around a bit too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, he got jerked around a lot. But I mean, he was also able to snag some personal perks out of the job, and
like trips to New Orleans. That never happened.
Personal perks out of the job, which we won't go into further here.
No, we won't go into those.
Read Richard Marston's book.
Read his book. Read his book.
But he, love him or hate him, whatever you think of him, he was a very, 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 very strong advocate for Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And he was the RTD of his time.
He was.
He's an important part of the history, basically.
Massive.
One
massive
way or the
part.
other.
Yeah.
Yeah. The amount of the amount of time he spent working on Doctor Who, between the floor manager and up to producer, whatever, the amount of time he spent on the show, and just the adoration he had for it, and just the clout he eventually developed with it, and just, like, Doctor Who wouldn't be what it became without him.
Yeah. Absolutely. 21 years ago. That's astounding that it's been that long since he left us. Other stuff that happened on this day in history, May 1st, debut broadcast of the Space Museum, episode 2,
Yes.
Dimensions of Time.
The only title with dimensions and time in it.
David Whittaker is commissioned to
I love
provide a
space.
story back in 69 for the Ambassadors of Death. But anyway, what you're saying, Chris?
I was going to say, I love episode 1 of
Everyone
Space
does.
Museum
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah.
So much.
But then after that,
blew my
it's
mind as a child.
It's boring old, yes, as you know, this is a boring planet that we live on. As you know, there's a lot of as you know dialogue in the first 3 minutes of Dimensions of Time. It's pretty bad.
But, as you say, 1969, David Whittaker commissioned to provide a storyline for The Ambassadors of Death.
Mm-hmm.
My personal favorite series, season 7.
Man, Inferno is so good, but Ambassadors of Death is so
Inferno.
I
good
love
too.
Ambassadors just so much.
So good. So good.
So, I mean, season 7 is just top to bottom.
Yeah, you're spoiled for choice in that.
Yeah, of course.
Amazing.
By the time Ambassadors of Death actually comes to get made, David Whittaker has very little to do with it, sadly.
Yes.
But it all started there. Just like the debut broadcast in 1971 of episode 4 of Colony in Space. Speaking of everybody's favorite, Colony in Space. What a day in history. Space Museum, Colony in Space. Same day. Everybody's happy.
Sure. I was going to jump ahead to 1984, birth of one Sacha Dhawan.
Happy birthday, Sacha Dhawan.
The
39
10th
years
actor,
old.
apparently, to play the Doctor.
Yeah, 10th actor?
I'm not going to do the math.
Are you?
I'm not going to do the math.
I'm going to do it. It's
Was it
Delgado,
correct
or not?
Delgado, Peter Pratt, Jeffrey Beavers. There's 3. Anthony Ainley. That covers a lot. Gordon Tipple. Right?
Eric Roberts.
Eric
some
Roberts.
reason.
There's 6. You got your Derek Jacobi, that hack actor. Then you got John
John
Sim.
Sim is
You got
8.
Michelle Gomez. There you go. That's 10. We did it, folks. Gordon Tipple, canon, even though he's basically an extra.
Of course he's canonical.
Doctor Who TV movie. He's a canonical extra, is what he is.
I saw, not related, but I saw a thing about the latest Jedi Survivor. They're asking if the main character at the video game, is he canon? I'm like, guys, it's pretend. Does it really matter? Who cares?
I thought canonicity in Star Wars was basically if George Lucas blesses it, then it's canon. Something
I
something
think
along
the
that
idea
line.
of canon is stupid. It's all pretend. Just enjoy it.
Does George Lucas still have that right? Does he, or did he sell off all?
Well,
those?
that's what it used to be anyway. Once Lucasfilm got sold, maybe not. I don't know what the thing.
I'm pretty sure he sold it all to Disney.
Maybe it's now if Dave Filoni or Jon Favreau or one of the Kathleen Kennedy or somebody like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Who
How about we
knows?
talk
But it's
about
also-
2000 How about we just talk about 2010?
2010, the we sort of alluded to this last week. The debut broadcast of Flesh and Stone.
It still deserves its own mention.
So that's good.
What a Flesh and Stone. Yeah.
The bit, remember that? It's 13 years since we completely poo-pooed the idea of the continuity era of Matt Smith talking to Amy Pond there with not wearing his jacket. Thinking, that was dumb. Or he was wearing his jacket. I can't remember which one it was.
We were snookered. Whatever.
Yeah, we were. We just thought, production screw up. It wasn't.
God, otherwise flawless episode, but really you dropped the ball here, Mr. Moffat.
The whole first season of Matt Smith is so great. Just great. And that was such a good episode. Apart from the end, even Moffat, in retrospect, think, what did I do? Like having Amy come on to the doctor in the last couple minutes of that, and just like, what?
Yeah, that didn't fit.
No, and during the watch-alongs, they had, then the code lockdown watch-alongs. He's like, what was I doing? That was dumb. That was dumb of me. Even he thinks that now.
And I hated it at the time. I'm still not a fan of it, but it worked as a lead-in to episode 6?
I suppose, but I mean, they could have just said, what's the day? Look at that, not like, Amy's going to be completely unfaithful to her vows, her upcoming vows.
Yeah, that was a little uncomfortable.
If you didn't have Vampires of Venice kicking off with Rory's stag do,
right,
then you don't need the Amy thing at the end of Flesh and Stone. So
if you do anyway, but
could have changed the one and got rid of the other. Anyway, 2020 hindsight and all that kind of stuff. But
yeah,
but
literally,
still,
literally 2020 hindsight.
2010 hindsight.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean 2020 is when Moffat did the watch along, and since I was done with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
In the year 2020.
But still, in Time of Angels, Flesh and Stone, just like, so good.
So good. Very, very good.
So good.
Let's move on to May 2nd. For some reason, I remember Peter Stastny scored the overtime winner against the Montreal Canadiens in Game 7 of the Adams Division Final, giving the Quebec Nordiques a shock upset and moving on to the conference final against the Philadelphia Flyers. That's straight from my memory, folks. Yep.
What year is that?
1985.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing in Doctor Who happened that day in history, so I would have freely watched that.
Episode 7... of Ambassadors of Death in 1970. This is given we talked about the inception of Ambassadors. This is the end of Ambassadors.
Yeah,
so
let's face it.
That bit.
It's the least impressive episode. No, I'm thinking of Inferno. Episode 7 of Inferno is great, but it's the build up to this. It's like, well, now we're going to put all the toys back in the box. It's it's almost like falling action in episode 7 of Inferno. I remember this because I recorded a whole bunch of episodes of the omnibus versions on one tape. And some omnibus versions were slightly longer than the others, and at the end of whatever episode was underneath this would be like the last few minutes of the Ambassadors of Death. And so, like, for the longest time, this was like the only bit of the Ambassadors of Death that I had on tape, and so I would just watch those last 6 minutes worth over and over again. What else we got here? What else happened on May 2nd you want to talk about?
I want to jump over to 1977. Chris Boucher commissioned to write Image of the Fendel. I got into a minor, and I do mean minor, discussion on Facebook yesterday.
Is there such a thing? Is there such a thing as a minor discussion on Facebook?
Tom Wilk is going through his pilgrimage,
right?
Or a pilgrimage, and hit Image of the Fendel, and there were a few people who remarked about how much of a snooze fest they find.
They are wrong.
Image of the Fendel to be, and I felt compelled to step in and defend it because Image of the Fendel, I think, is a very enjoyable story.
Chris, you did the right thing.
Just stuff like I love the characters. The Tylers RTD got the surname Tyler from this for Rose and Jackie.
That's right. Yeah.
So goes legend anyway.
Oh, probably not.
And then stuff like you got Wanda Ventham in there. I love the glowing skull, but the coup de grace is the scene where the Doctor gives Fendelman the gun.
My God,
which you hear the
so
off-screen.
It's so dark.
The off-screen gunshot as he kills himself.
The atmosphere is so good. In
so
that.
dark for a family program, kids program.
Dark. Oh my God. Oh boy. Yeah, it's harrowing. Well done stuff. Directed by George Spenton Foster. He of Reboss Operation fame. He came back later to do that, but yeah, it's a good one. It's a good story. And Chris Boucher, who of course just left us in the last year.
Great writer.
Yeah,
Fantastic
superb writer. Doctor Who. That was his last contribution to Doctor Who. Image of the Fendal. Before Blake Seven and Gambit plucked him from us for eternity.
Did he write Gambit?
No, but he was script editor for Blake Seven for all 4 years. But no, Gambit was written by Robert Holmes, who of course recommended Boucher for the script editor job on Blake Seven after having turned it down himself. So,
having seen Gambit, I wouldn't have pegged it for a Robert Holmes jam.
Oh, really? Oh no. There's there's
he's a flexible writer.
He's very flexible writer. Very flexible writer is Robert Holmes.
And at the end of the day, for those who haven't seen Gambit, just find it. It's on YouTube. Just go watch it. The appeal and draw of Gambit is in the performances and the costumes and the actors that get hired, and it's much more than just Robert Holmes. That makes it
the campus thing you've ever seen.
It's amazing. It's just amazing.
It's a sight to behold.
I cannot recommend that episode enough. I really can't. It's just it needs to be seen.
Even if you've never watched Blake Seven,
you don't need to.
Just it's like late season 2 or something like that. But like, don't worry about that. Just go and just I don't know, smoke a joint first and just have a blast.
Gummy or something.
If you've never seen Blake Seven and you watch Gambit, you still have never seen Blake Seven.
That's a good point. That's a good point. It so sticks out. It's anyway.
I want to go smoke a joint.
Wow. Okay, this took a turn.
Yeah, it's legal here in Canada. It's all right. It's all right. Other people from everywhere else in the world, it's been legal here for like 3 years. Yeah, we're fine.
More than that.
Was it a 2018 or 2019? Obviously longer through because the pandemic's 3 years old.
Exactly,
so yeah.
Yes.
Oh God. Let's move on.
Move on to May 3rd.
May 3rd. May the 3rd be with you, everyone. It's the debut broadcast of the War Games, episode 3 on BBC One. That's just because it was right there, and I need to say something. 1973, Elizabeth Sladen is contracted to play new companion Sarah Jane Smith for season 11, replacing April Walker, who still got paid out. Of course, we've been going on about this in the past few weeks about the April Walker saga of being cast as the new companion and not meshing with John Pertwee, so getting paid to not do Doctor Who for a year. So there we go. Liz Sladen, well done. Enters Doctor Who 50 years ago to the day on May 3rd.
Damn, 50 years.
50 years, folks.
2004, a couple years after JNT, we've got the death of Anthony Ainley.
Mm-hmm. He died young, too. Wasn't he only 71 or something like that, early 70s?
71, yeah, exactly.
Fourth actor to play the master.
I mean, I'm not going to say 71 is old, but it's or young or whatever. But it's it's before his time.
Yeah, only showed up on one. I think it was on the commentary for Keeper of Chalk, and I think that's the only thing he did before he died for DVD range. I'm talking about here. Yeah. So there we go. Death. Good old death.
No, by 2004 when he passed, I mean there wasn't that much for DVDs to do.
No,
so I guess that makes sense.
It's kind of sad that we lost a bunch of people in the early aughts just as the DVD range was kicking off and the documentaries were being made. Just kind of like in the late 70s, we lost a whole spate of people like, Brian Hales, Dave Whitaker, Malcolm Hulk, right at the birth of fandom. So before their thoughts could be recorded on convention panels, How dare they die before we were able to have a chance to ask inane questions about Doctor Who to them?
Ultimate in fan entitlement.
Yeah. Selfish.
Anthony Ainley would have been 90 right now. 90. He'd still be around.
That's
otherwise,
madness.
Doing cons. No, he wouldn't.
No, but he could have. Could have talked. I don't know. Could have done a thing with John Sim and Anthony Ainley and a DVD extra with Return of the Master with the old master.
Why didn't I get what I want right now that I just came up with?
I'm so angry, Warren. I'm so angry that none of us are immortal, and thus we can't ever appear on DVD extras for eternity about Doctor Who.
Hey, look, Rassilon tried it. It didn't work out. Then it did for some reason, and then it didn't again.
Yeah, so, it's depending on your point of view. Yeah.
Who's the oldest surviving writer now? It's the Meglos guys, right?
Yeah. I mean, the oldest episode that has
talked about John Flanagan.
John Flanagan, yeah, born 1947. So John Flanagan and Andrew McCullough are the oldest. That's That's 1980.
And then Andrew Smith.
Andrew Smith.
I think I brought that up with him when I saw him.
He's the second. Thank God he wrote that thing.
I'm sure he would have been thrilled to hear that.
Well, he was 9 years old when he wrote that, so that's good that he started so early.
About that, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
He was also a Blue Peter contest winner. Read an episode of Doctor Who, and they did, and so good job, Andrew Smith, on writing that as a Blue Peter contest winner. May the 4th, let's do it. It's Star Wars Day just because it sounds like May the Force. Get it? Has nothing to do with Star Wars other than that, though, which, is fine. What else? Elwyn Jones, the writer Elwyn Jones, who I think he co-wrote The Highlanders, I think is what he did. Yeah. Was born in 1923. Eric Pringle, he wrote The Awakening, and also funded a startup potato chip company in the 1960s. Also was born in 1935. Rob Sherman has compared himself to Eric Pringle because Eric Pringle only wrote The Awakening, 2 episodes worth. So screen time wise, Rob Sherman and Eric Pringle have written.
Mike dropped. One of them better than the other.
Yeah, I know. I love The Awakening. Love it.
Yeah, I was waiting for that. I don't. But
1974 debut broadcast of Planet of the Spiders, episode 1. The beginning of the end for John Pertwee.
For old Pert there, yeah.
Takes its own sweet time getting there, though.
That's true.
Planet of the Spiders is not the strongest regeneration story, to put it mildly. But, I mean, the guy, Pertwee played the role of the Doctor for 5 years, and I just absolutely love how the production staff was like, let's, just give him whatever he wants, just give it to him, and just let him go with a bang. Mm-hmm. So you got the hovercrafts, and we got the Whomobile, we've got the, whatever. And it's just like, I can't imagine he didn't have anything but a whole lot of fun making.
Yeah, right.
It's very self-indulgent, but it's not terrible or anything. It's just long.
And it's only episode 2. At least it's not like the whole story. At least it's not like episode 6 or something like that. Okay, we'll get your fun out of the way right now.
Yeah, there's some good stuff in there. Like,
I think there is.
The redemption of Mike Yates and whatever.
Yeah.
And then you got stuff like Jenny Laird in episode 3 when we get there. But
yeah, everything on Metabolus is crap. Everything on Earth is great.
Yes. Everything in Metabolus set in a studio is crap.
Which is everything on
the spiders are annoying.
The green screen, which is all of it.
Which is hilarious. Yeah, that's what's funny to me is that you look at how bad some of the blue screen stuff on Planet the Spiders is, and then you realize that they ran into like timing problems because there were elements of it that were bad enough for Barry Letts to say that doesn't look very good. I think, well, if that didn't look very good, why did you? Wow, how bad must it have been given the stuff that actually was left?
The stuff that didn't make it to the screen.
Yeah, like if you look at episode 6. It's basically 15 minutes worth of material, and the cliffhanger for the previous one is worked in gradually throughout the entire episodes. It's actually quite an editing tour de force in basically pulling the wool over our eyes, thinking, wait a second, this is barely a new episode. Yeah. And all started on episode 1. May 4th, 1974. Cyril Schapp's only episode of Planet of the Spiders.
Yep.
This day in history.
He was killed off pretty fast.
Yep. As Professor...
But man, those headphones he got. Ooh.
I know, from the Green
like
Death.
Those new Dyson, look like those new Dyson air purifier headphones.
They do kind of look like that.
Purifying your ears and playing your tunes.
The same headphones as seen in the Green Death from the previous year, for what it's worth. Prop fans. Anything else? May the 4th? Nothing else happened.
2013, Crimson Horror.
Crimson Horror.
But a lot of people do like it. It's another one of your Mark Gatiss could have been put anywhere stories.
It is kind of that, isn't it? Like evergreen.
It's fun though. Like it's one of those ones that doesn't go as well within the season as it does just watching it on its own.
I agree. Alarmingly, I think what's like 12, 13 minutes in is when the Doctor finally shows up, which or Clara, like that's like Space Pirates level of the show being carried by auxiliary characters. I mean, there's a
first appearance to the Doctor's when the closet door gets opened, right? Mm-hmm. Or whatever.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
he's all like beat red because he's been crimson horrid, I guess. Yeah,
but I mean, Diana Rigg being in there was great, and then having her daughter cast as her daughter, which is also great.
That's true. Yeah, Dinah Rigg. We had the great.
Dinah Rigg was so damn funny. She's so good in Game of Thrones.
So good. So very good. Let's move on, May. What time? What are we wrapping up here? I've lost track of the days of the
May
week
6th.
here. May
This
6th.
is the last one, I
last
believe,
one.
So May 5th
So
here.
on to May 5th, birth of Richard E. Grant.
The iconic Richard E. Grant.
Iconic Richard E. Grant.
Of course, played Dr. Simeon and the Great Intelligence, but also was Doctor
Classic
Who in
Loki.
that thing, and was in Withnail and I with another Doctor Who, and it was in Star Wars, and it was in that Loki show, I guess. He was an alligator? I
He's
don't
great
remember.
in that.
I didn't
no,
watch
he's
it.
not, but he's great in Loki.
Oh, okay. He's in that. He's in Star Wars, too. Did I mention that?
Yes, he is.
I did.
Yep.
Yeah, I
And
try
he's-
to pretend that one doesn't exist. But
And
okay.
he's in a great little show that if you can find it, it's great. It's called Posh Nosh. He and I can't remember someone else. It's like 10 minutes. They're little shorts and stuff, and they're basically it's a spoof of a cooking show with two utterly pretentious British people. It's great. I saw it once on PBS and laughed myself silly. It's great. That
TV
Posh
program, huh?
Nosh. Yeah. They might even be on
I'm
YouTube.
gonna-
I don't know.
It
but,
is on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like 9 minutes per episode.
9 minutes per episode. It's great. Posh Nosh.
And
Greatest
then I'm
contribution.
gonna mention something that might make some people unhappy, but I don't care. My personal favorite performance of his ever
All right.
in Hudson Hawk.
No, I agree with you. He's great in Hudson
Oh,
Hawk.
I've never seen Hudson. I didn't know he was in that.
It's very silly. It's a very silly film.
You didn't tell me there were Doctor Who actors in Hudson Hawk. I mean, now I might watch it.
Well, at the time, he wasn't a Doctor Who actor.
No, but he will be. That's part of the charm. That's part of the fun, is seeing who will be in Doctor Who.
You will hate Hudson Hawk. It's very campy and silly
Legendary
nonsense.
bomb Hudson Hawk, wasn't that? It was
Yeah,
yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of fun. It's stupid,
I adore
but it's a
that
lot of
movie
fun.
more than it should be adored.
Yeah, it's. I remember watching, going, "This isn't as bad as everybody says it is. It's very stupid, but it's kind of fun."
Yeah. I could do it without Danny Aiello in it, but whatever. That's the weak spot. And the Sandra Bernhardt is just
She's in
just insane.
Yeah,
just
and it's
love her
great.
performance in that.
Hudson Hawk.
Bunny, ball.
1995, Matthew Jacobs joins the Doctor Who telefilm as its new writer. I don't know how many writers they went through at this point to finally settle on Mr. Matthew Jacobs, who's great. Of course, his version of the script was the one that they went with, and he has gone on
And
long.
was
to
never
be,
heard from again in
Never
Doctor
heard
Who
from
fandom
again.
circles.
No. You know what? For a while, he wasn't actually. And it was only nerds like us who brought him back to Doctor Who conventions, and then he reconnected with
Yeah.
it. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Feel free to tell a bit of your favorite story at LA Who, Stephen. About doing the panel for his grandfather.
It was fun. I love that. I love that was like the centerpiece of the movie Doctor Who Am I, because it was a great thing about how I hosted the panel like at 11 o'clock on a Friday night. Where we watched clips of the gunfighters, and then we talked about them, and it was great hearing his memories about being on set when he was watching some of it and seeing his
As a wee lad.
as a wee lad there on the set. Yeah, it's great. Anyway, Doctor Who Am I, available on streaming services and for purchase. I'm saying that because it's a lovely film, not because I'm sprinkled in throughout, as are many Doctor Who people who we know. Anything else for May the 5th, or shall we move on?
Nope. Let's wrap up on May 6th.
Yes.
May the
Birth of Nicholas Mallet.
who died?
director
He
of,
died in like 1990, I think it was. He died very young too.
97.
97.
But
Still pretty young.
Director
Yeah.
of Curse of Fenric.
Yep.
Amongst other things like
Paradise Towers
Mysterious Planet and Paradise Towers.
Yeah.
But all three fantastic stories in my opinion. Sorry, Warren.
Yeah.
No, it's okay. I
No, 'cause you don't like
begrudgingly
Paradise
accept
Towers.
that Chris Fenric is good.
No, yeah. Mark Ayres and Nicholas Mallet. I mean, Nicholas Mallet had grand ideas to do a movie version of Curse of Fenric, but sadly died, of course. So Mark Ayres picked up the ball and finished it. And the movie version of Curse of Fenric is great. It's on the season 26 Blu-ray and stuff. It's sort of been expanded and
Yes.
it breathes a little more than the 4-part version is allowed to do. And
The back in the day, because they sold it separately on VHS, I had a copy of the extended cut of Fenric, and that's ingrained in my brain more than the broadcast version.
Oh, interesting.
Because I watched it ad nauseum back in the day, and Fenric, for whatever it's worth, speaking of Mark Ayres' input on that, was the first soundtrack CD I ever bought for Doctor Who music.
I think it was mine too. I think.
I bought it at the same time as somebody at the local Doctor Who fan club put in like a bulk order, and so I got that and variations on a theme and something else.
Right.
From Silva Screen.
Oh yeah, I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I can't believe that the Timelash has been going so long that our musical loop is about to run out. So apologies for that if that happens. Also that same day, there it is. The music is wrapped up. It's gonna play again, folks. It's gonna play again. What was I talking about?
The same day.
Same day. 20 years later, the photographs of William Russell and Jacqueline Hill are taken
I love this.
For the chase, the very end of like the little...
London 1965.
That's right. Happened May 6th, 19... That should be the day we celebrate. That is London 1965 Day, because that's when it was happening. But
here's why I love it so much, because it feels to me like somebody on the staff, and I have nothing to back this up, was watching the French New Wave or like Lindsay Anderson's If ... or something like that and going, we need stills because that's what the new people are doing. And it just looks like out of nowhere, Doctor Who becomes this weird progressive cinema of the UK thing, right, for like 2 seconds. And that's what I love about it. I don't know if that was intentional, but it just feels like all of a sudden you got a completely different show showing up for 5 seconds.
Well, it is in a way because the serial that came after it was the Time Meddler, and they sort of they budgeted for a location film shoot on it because we probably got like 1 or 2 days worth of location we could probably do, and then Douglas Camfield, the director, says, actually we can probably just do this in the studio without any location stuff. So they used the location budget.
Are you saying they didn't go to New York to film Peter Purvis on top of the
I'm
building?
sorry. No, I'm talking for Time Meddler. Time Meddler didn't have the location.
I thought we were talking about the chase. Sorry.
I know, and so they basically allocated that film stuff from the Time Meddler for the chase, the last bit of the chase. So that bit, aka the one good bit about the chase, isn't directed by Richard Martin. It's directed by Douglas Camfield. So I can't remember if he came up with the idea of the still photos. But they're great, as you say, Warren.
It's just
great.
So 60s. It's so 60s.
It is very 60s, and it's great.
They're laughing on laughing on a bus. Wait, no, it's not the stills.
No, that's at Ealing. But
that's
at the back projection. But so London, 1965, May 6th, 1965. That should be the day that we should all remember. Anything else jumping out at you for May the 6th you want to talk about?
I'm going to go all the way down to 2006.
Okay, what happened in 2006?
Debut broadcast of The Girl in the Fireplace on BBC One.
Mm-hmm.
A story which I really liked at the time.
You liked it at the time? How do you feel now, Chris?
Less so.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't believe we passed this over. 1983. Come on. Robert Holmes is commissioned to provide a storyline for the kids around Rajani.
Right. I mean, he basically gets asked to go do 5 Doctors, and then I can't make this work. I'll say, how about this? How about you provide a storyline, which is sort of kind of borrowings from stuff you've ever written, but here's the hook: we'll make it the greatest Doctor Who story ever made. Can you do that for us, Robert Holmes? So he does. Sure, I can borrow a little bit from the Crotons, a little bit from Power of Kroll, maybe a little bit from this, a little bit from that. There you go. How's this look? Sure.
I mean,
it's great.
The writing's great too, but how much of that is down to the performance of Shiraz Jack, which is phenomenal.
The performance is the direction. I mean, it's all of it adds up.
Gable.
Yeah, all of it adds up to
the Magma Beast.
Yeah. The official greatest story of all time for people aged 48 and older.
Yes, which
and male.
I'm guilty of.
Yeah, that's weird. Some people say "Girl in the Fireplace" is the greatest story of all time.
They are wrong.
Notice how we pushed right past that and wanted to talk yet again about the Caves of Rajazani.
I'm not changing at this age. To hell with it.
I know.
Well, I mean, it's got, and then. As with most Robert Holmes stories, you got your like the two character interaction,
the double acts, the double acts. Yeah.
So you got Stotts and Krelper, and you've got Timon and
Morgus. You've got
talking to camera,
Salatine, and Shellac and Dr.
The
Perry.
Doctor and Shiraz Jack.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just
it's good stuff.
It really shouldn't work, but somehow it does.
And most notably, the final appearance of Matthew Waterhouse in Doctor Who.
That's true. You know what's actually really tragic is that, we always sort of joke about, I can't believe they went right into the twin dilemma after that. And think, oh, God, how dare they make that mistake? But really, the Caves of Androzani is the mistake. If you look at what else is like Frontios and the twin dilemma, that's actually what Doctor Who in 1984 is, and it's the Caves of Androzani that is the exception to prove the rule. It's we completely messed up by making this wonderful bit of drama in Doctor Who. Let's go right back to this twin dilemma nonsense.
I always look at it as you're
deep.
driving this amazing race car, and you spent the nitrous oxide and all the fuel. And twin dilemma is you start rolling down a hill slowly to a gas station, hoping you get there after you've done all that.
Yeah.
Sorry, Chris.
What are you gonna say, Chris?
No, just yeah. You're kind of. I mean, with the possible exception of Resurrection of the Daleks, you might be right. Androzani might be the blip.
Yep. It is. Even Resurrection, the way it's performed, it just feels very.
It's still
very
cool,
very that, shall we say?
It's very stage play.
It is a bit, yeah. And then Androzani comes along and says, "What if we didn't make it look like a stage play, as it has done for the past 21 years? What do you think?"
How big a fan of Planet of Fire are you?
I like the location
I'm middling on it,
shooting,
yeah.
but it's
Not one of your favorites. Then.
No, if it was shot in just some standard core, I would probably think.
What if they took Planet of Fire?
All right.
And rejiggered it to make it about an hour long.
Well, as long
Introduced a Superman style beginning.
Pre-title sequence. Okay, I'm listening. Boy, what a dream scenario this would be, Chris. I wonder if such a thing exists in the world.
Nope, never happened.
Planet of Fire box set. You can watch it if you really, really want.
Also, in Resurrection of the Daleks' defense, Russell T Davies didn't do a Caves of Androzani remake, and it's a sin. He did a Resurrection of the Daleks remake.
That's true.
That's true.
Can't be fun. Anyway, we've been...
Ollie Alexander on Instagram lately has been posting pictures of his new cats, and they are so adorable.
Oh, really? Oh.
Sprite and Fanta.
Oh, nice. And on that note,
do we want to talk about Knock Knock or wrap it up?
I just want to wrap it up. We've been this podcast is like an hour and a half long, and half of it has literally been talking about old things in Doctor Who. We have
very old, which is also an old thing.
I know.
We're old dudes. All we do is nostalgia size.
I suppose so, a little bit. Well, hope you enjoyed that extended version of the Time Lash as we rapidly get towards the end of the Time Lash forever until, the next hiatus.
Our own lives.
Yeah, until the next hiatus. Where it's like, remember that time when we used to talk about things that happened once in Doctor Who? Let's bring that back again. So, anyway, that's it for this week here on the old podcast where we talk about Doctor Who, both new and old. So until next time, I'm Stephen in Edmonton.
Warren in Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton.
So long for now.
You've been listening to Radio Free Skaro. Find us online at radiofreeskaro.com. Follow us on Twitter and Tumblr at Radio Free Skaro. Subscribe to us on iTunes and donate to the show at patreon.com/Radio Free Skaro. Thank you.